So it's going to be a weird day for programming on the show because we have so many NHL games, a bunch of the teams that I follow are already playing, and then we've got even more as the afternoon and evening will roll on. So obviously this is going to be a complicated day to try to get videos out there, but before the New York Rangers play off today, against whomever it is they're going to face off against. Who do the Rangers have on this lovely Saturday? They have Columbus. Interesting. But yesterday, on the 7th, we had ourselves the Rangers lose 3-2 in regulation at home against the Pittsburgh Penguins. And you can see here in the headline, the Penguins score 3 in the second period. They hold off the Rangers without Sidney Crosby. And what's also interesting about this game is the fact that if you scroll through the game sheet, you look for the other guys that the Penguins had suiting up for their team. Shout out to my guy, Rickard Rakell, for getting a goal. I really needed that for my fantasy team. But you didn't have Gino. You go from 67 Rickard Rakell to 72 Beauvillier, and that's it. No 71 Gino, no 87 Sid, no Malkin, no Crosby, and the Penguins still won against a New York Rangers team that had all the reason in the world to defeat Pittsburgh, and I wanted to go over how some Rangers fans are reacting because the opening sentiment that I saw on my Twitter feed was this. NYR Louie posted this. Someone who watched this game, tell me, did culture changer JT Miller change the culture tonight? Or is he just a good player on a team that's still not good and giving up a guaranteed first for someone in their early 30s when you are not a good team isn't good business? Are Rangers fans already starting to regret the JT Miller trade? And this isn't to say that JT Miller is a bum, he's a bad player, he's this, he's that. I'm not insinuating anything about the quality of his play. I'm insinuating the idea as to whether or not Rangers fans agree with the trade. Not the quality of the player, the trade. JT Miller in New York has been fine, point production-wise. He's a point per game. 4 points in 4 games, which is reasonable. Although you can say that getting 4 points in only 2 games is a lot better, this has been one of the symptoms of JT Miller hockey the past few years in Vancouver. Score a bunch of goals, score a bunch of points, and still find a way to lose. Now, to be fair, the Rangers are 2-2 in the JT Miller era, or in the second JT Miller era, I guess you can say. And Miller is a point-per-game guy in the sample he has had. That's not that bad, realistically speaking, but I did find it interesting that some Rangers fans are going out there and already talking about whether or not the Miller trade was actually a positive thing for this hockey team. Let's go out there and read some of the extra replies. And I think, this doesn't really tell the whole story. I think one of the bigger aspects of Rangers fans' disappointment from yesterday's game is the fact that they just didn't look all too good. They just totally allowed themselves to lose to a Crosby and Malkinless Pittsburgh Penguins squad. And so this sentiment, did culture changer JT Miller change the culture tonight? Is interesting to bring up. The idea that the Rangers might be bad because of talent and not culture might shock some of you. A reply goes out there and says, JT Miller is definitely an improvement over Filipino, and he will help this team. It'll be very interesting to see what happens at the deadline and in July. They have to give him pieces that can hopefully mirror his style of play. Yeah, he is an improvement over Hito, but that's not the point. Miller might quote-unquote change your culture short-term, but man, does his act get tired quickly when the team isn't winning. Another reply here says that the honeymoon will be great. Just hope that JT Miller doesn't start to lag and give up on plays. Watch out for that trying to cross ice pass, turnovers, slow to the bench, bad mood changes, etc., turning on his teammates. You'll be fine. This feels a little tongue-in-cheek, highlighting all of the bad aspects of JT Miller's game that we had seen in Vancouver the past few years. Some guys stepped up, for some it seems more of the same. He is one of 19 guys on the ice. I wish Miller tried to shoot more, but same for the other guys. It seemed like Pittsburgh really parked the bus in the third. They had their chances, but there was a wall. Pittsburgh didn't try any offense. You had some other replies here. Laviolette was awful. Yes, the last part is about right. Paragraph 2 is right on the money. You described it perfectly. Miller is a good player on a team that's not good, and giving up a first for someone in their early 30s when you are not a good team, not good business. And I wanted to expand on a few of these other thoughts. Rick Carpiniello said the same thing. Rangers got exactly what they deserved tonight, and if the coach and players aren't absolutely furious, I would say all hope is gone. To expand on this even more, I wanted to go over onto the Rangers subreddit because their post-game thread from yesterday does have some illuminating perspectives as to how Rangers fans are feeling about this situation. This one comment says, "Damn, Valley said he didn't even know JT Miller was playing today until he heard his name in the second period. But this subreddit told me that JT Miller was the answer." A reply says, "Miller is a good hockey player, but he doesn't handle a bad locker room too well. He's a ticking time bomb here. I'm both worried that he'll explode and treat the locker room to shreds." Treat the locker room to shreds? Is that the right verb for that? I'm not too sure. Tear the locker room to shreds is what you're trying to say. And I'm curious if that was exactly the reason he was brought here. I hope he goes off on some of these guys. It won't matter. Even if he does, he's outnumbered by Zibanejad, Kreider, and the Fox Corps that couldn't care less. True. Fox is another guy flying under the radar. He's been a ghost all season. And so, I did want to bring this argument up too. One of the reasons the Rangers were so involved and interested in JT is because of his intense desire to win, which can manifest in some pretty harsh and blunt teammate interactions in the locker room. It's already been documented that Elias Pettersson and JT Miller had this feud, and now there are even more crazy rumors as to stuff that JT might have said to PD and all that. And I'm not saying any of that is like right, absolutely not, but that sort of, I don't know, bluntness, that verbal brutality, that seems to have been one of the reasons New York wanted Miller, because, hey, he's so intense, our locker room is not intense, we need to be more intense, so let's get this guy onto our team who can try to egg on the rest of our players to play better. And I did find it interesting how Rangers fans are already saying, hey, he's a good player, but he doesn't handle a bad locker room too well. He's a ticking time bomb here. I'm worried that he'll explode and tear this locker room to shreds, but I'm also curious if that's why he was brought here, because the Rangers staff wanted this guy to be able to explode and tear the locker room to shreds, to get these players, the Zibanejads, the Kreiders, and the Foxes, to just start giving a damn more. So you don't end up losing 3-2 in regulation to a Crosby and Malkinless Penguins team. Here are some other comments. Watching JT Miller bust his ass to drive plays and chase pucks and then Panarin float around while Zibby whiffs on shots is so frustrating. How long till JT is in hot water for losing his crap on these floaters and clock punchers? Another reply says, the Rangers have now entered the third period trailing in all 4 games of the JT Miller era. He's been a real shot in the arm. All I'm saying is, Drury brought him to improve the team's fortunes. It's not Miller's fault, but this team has absolutely not gotten better since he arrived. That's because there was no reason to invest more resources into this deeply flawed core, especially not for a veteran star. The focus should have been on the future from the moment this team went on strike earlier this season. Trying to blame JT for this dumpster fire is certainly something. It's absolutely not his fault. The fault lies within this team's architect, Chris Drury, and his baffling decision to waste even more futures on this ratbag of a roster. And then finally, we had this. I don't think there is an objective way to blame Miller for this entire situation, only to point out that even with Miller, who has played well, they're still not very good. Which isn't a surprise, to be honest, since their biggest issue was, and continues to be, poor defense. And Miller doesn't help that at all. So with this in mind, I wanted to bring this entire idea up because it seems like Rangers fans are already starting to have their apprehensions on the JT Miller trade, and I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about these perspectives? What is your overall thought process to the way JT Miller has played in this organization and the team's performance with him in the lineup? Do you think there's more fuel to this perspective that the trade wasn't really beneficial for New York? Sure. I mean, Miller's a good player. He's fine. But I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about JT Miller and the way some Rangers fans are responding already? Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. 99, and bye.